and thank you so much for joining me for some Saturday night crafting, which is on Sunday. I'm sorry it didn't come out last night, but we were on holiday for a whole week, and then we had a birthday party to go to for my niece, so it has been a hectic time. But I got around to creating a new technique for you today, and I can't wait to share it. So I'm going to start with a card base, like a standard card base, whatever your size is in your country, and then I went for a top layer that's just slightly smaller than that base. I'm using up a whole bunch of scraps today. I keep this big bin under my desk, and that's kind of where I put all my scraps, and then every so often I go through them and organize them. But I had a whole bunch in there, and I thought this is a great way to use some of them up. I also have this new paper pad, and I am in love. If you've watched my videos before, you know how much I love Paper Rose paper packs. They are so nice. They just feel really nice. They feel really substantial. And I ended up buying this pack because I love rainbow colors, and it is stunning. And I've been itching to use it and wasn't sure what to use it for. So normally I would just go through and grab my scraps from a paper pack like this, but I was so desperate to just crack into this one that I'm going to use it today. So I've got a 3/4 inch hole punch here that I'm using. I've linked one down below in the description box for you, which is made by basically the same company that makes these ones here for Stampin' Up. Now I picked my colors for my circles based on the papers that I chose. So I kind of went with whatever scraps I had in my little scrap box and then kind of coordinated somewhat similar colors. I knew I wanted my sentiment to be in black, so I went with some black circles to kind of add and complement that sentiment as well. Now there's no rhyme or reason to this. We are just sticking down circles. I am layering some, not layering others. Some of them I'm putting the solid one on top, some of the solid one is going underneath. Literally it takes just a few seconds and you don't have to think much about it, and the more random it is, the better it looks, the more sort of chaotic randomness to it. And I'm always making sure to go off the edge of my little piece of paper. And now to make sure those are all stuck down and pressed down really nicely, I put a piece of scrap paper over the top and give it a firm rub, just so that none of the circles start wiggling everywhere when I rub them with my fingers. I've got a pair of long bladed scissors. I'm going to come in and just snip off all the excess from the sides. And then that panel is ready to go onto my card base. So really quick and easy, not much brain power needed, but you get a gorgeous looking background that's full of color and shine. So I go ahead and adhere that onto the card base, and then I'm ready to add a sentiment on. And I made up all my little bases first, and then I went through and put my sentiments on at the last minute. So how pretty is that? Really quick and easy, uses up scraps. Here's another one I did where I used up the purple foil scraps that I had. This time I didn't layer any of them. I just put them all down randomly. And I thought I would add in an embossing folder to give a bit more dimension and character to that panel. So I'm just going to go ahead and slip it right inside this embossing folder from Lisa Horton Crafts. And then how pretty is that? And what the embossing folder does is it takes that foil paper and really pushes it into your cardstock. So it looks like I have foiled those dots onto my paper. It looks like I've taken one of those fancy foil machines, which I don't own, and done some foiling on it, because it just smushes it in so nicely, especially these 3D ones. It really pushes it into your paper. So those are two different ways you can use like circle, either punches or dies. The next way is to use stickers. So I've got these dots. If you watch my little haul video, I got these from a new stationery shop called Journal Say, and these were I think around £1 roughly for a pack of 200 to 400 dots. I think it was about 500 dots I think for the big ones, and like nearly 1,000 dots for the little ones. And they're really fun. They are just vellum or tissue like stickers, so they're very, very, very thin. And all I'm going to do is randomly stick them all over my card, and because they're stickers I don't have to worry about trimming them off. I can just fold them over the edge like that, and it's so nice and easy to work with. Again, this just took me minutes. So I peeled off the backing paper, and then I used the stickers and popped them all down, and it just made it easier to pull them off of that acetate sheet. And you can actually save that acetate and use it for a shaker window, so don't forget about that. And I love that dimension I got with the embossing folder so much that I grabbed another one of my embossing folders and decided to do the same with this one. And it is so pretty because it really does blend it all together and makes it look like you've got your own little funky pattern paper. And I love that there's no thinking about where the dots go. I just literally stuck them all over the card and didn't take much time doing it. So that's my little card panel finished. I can go ahead and stick that onto a card base. But because this one had kind of a space feel to it, I decided I wanted to use some holographic card and stick that behind those dots just to kind of give it a bit more of that sort of spacey kind of feel. I don't know, I really liked the holographic behind it. So that's what I did on that one there. And again, there's a comparison with the last one where I used the dots that I hole punched versus the stickers. Now the third one is if you don't have a hole punch, you don't have stickers, you might have some reinforcements or reinforcers lying around your house. I know that I used to have these all the time when I was in school because my papers were always falling out my binders. And I got this pack from the grocery store down the road from us. And so I have had them in my desk for ages. And these are perfect for using as little circle backgrounds. Now these are really awesome because you can color them, you can ink them up. So I've got these little daubers, they have got ink on them already from my ink pads. Obviously you could ink a new one up if you needed to, use a sponge. You could also color them in. And I find alcohol pens for coloring are really nice because they don't tend to leave lines. So I like to use alcohol pens if I'm going to do any kind of coloring. But this is quick and easy. Just color over the little circles with your Sharpie and then you've got colored circles again. You could do a whole array of different colors. You could go for rainbow order and you could do a rainbow down your card. The way I went tonight was using these interference inks from Lisa Horton. These are honestly my favorite ink pads. They are metallic and they color change. So you can see the color on the left is the color that they are when you put it down on your paper, if you put it on white. And the color on the right is the color that you can see if it's on black. So they're really, really fun color changing inks and they're very, very shimmery. So I am just blobbing down some ink with these little brushes that I got from AliExpress. I'm making sure to wipe between each color because the background's like a release sheet, so it's really shiny. And I'll cross-contaminate my ink pads if I'm not careful and if I don't wipe that ink off in between. So I'm using 3 colors. I just kind of picked the top 3 in my drawer. I didn't even think about it. I'm just using 3 random colors. One's kind of a grayish color, one's a browny red color, and one's a very teal blue color. And I'm just going ahead and filling in all my dots. I actually did 2 sheets of this and I used 1.5 sheets on my card, but I'm just sharing with you the one that I did. And when I was done doing all my colors, I went over with the lightest color over all the dots to kind of fill in all the empty space. And look at these. They shine so much. And they're so pretty. They don't look like much more than reinforcements on my screen, but once you start putting them onto the card and then you add them to a card base, they look really quite cool. And this was pennies. It costs absolute pennies and you can get these in almost any shop as well. So there's my reinforcement background. Again, if you run this through in an embossing folder, it kind of smushes those right into the cardstock and they look like a beautiful, stunning piece of pattern paper rather than reinforcements on a piece of cardstock. So another way that you can use something that you possibly already have in your house. Now for all my sentiments, I use this set here. I'm loving it. I bought it a couple months ago and I keep using it because it comes with the dies. Well, you can buy it with the dies to cut it out. So I went ahead and made my first sentiment using that and I inked up a piece of cardstock in the same teal blue from Lisa Horton's inks. And then I die cut that out. I die cut out a second one out of holographic cardstock, cut it in half and stuck it behind to make it pop up. And for this one, I used the slightly different happy birthday sentiment. I die cut it out, popped it up with some foam to make it pop off the card a little bit. For my next one, I kept it simple with a nice simple happy birthday and added a few gems on each end of the sentiment. And I felt like the gems kind of matched with my holographic paper going on behind it. But my favorite one was this one. I love the simplicity of it. I think I just love those papers so much that they kind of steal the show on this card. I didn't feel like I needed any gems because I had the shiny paper already. My black tied in with the sentiment and then those rainbow colors just really make it pop. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial today and I hope you give it a go as well and that you've got something in your stash that you can use to make a card like this. Using circles is such a great way to make a beautiful, easy background for your cards. So thank you so much for joining me today. Don't forget to check out all my links down below. I've got all the products I've used as well as my social media links. Please make sure not to forget to like and comment and subscribe if you're not already. That really keeps my channel going and that brings in my income as my full-time job as a YouTuber. So thank you so much and I look forward to seeing you again this week.